I remember the summer of my discontent, a season forever etched in my heart. I was a wife, a mother, and on the surface, I had it all. My life was one of suburban bliss, neatly tucked away in a cozy home adorned with family photos and laughter. Yet, beneath the surface, a tempest brewed, a longing I never expected to feel. It all began with Jake, my best friend's son, who arrived one fateful afternoon. He was no longer the boy I remembered. He had transformed into a stunning young man, with broad shoulders and a confident stride that made my heart race. I felt an intoxicating rush of emotions, a mix of guilt and undeniable attraction. As I watched him move about my home, laughter spilling from his lips, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was stepping into dangerous territory. Each time our eyes met, a spark ignited. I tried to dismiss it, telling myself it was just a fleeting moment of fantasy. But deep down, I knew it was more. During those first few days, I watched him interact with my children, noting how effortlessly he engaged with them. It was as if he were an extension of my life, yet so distinctly separate. The allure of his youthful energy drew me in, whispering promises of excitement and desire. I found myself thinking about him at odd times, while doing dishes, folding laundry, even during mundane conversations with my husband. I felt shame creeping in, yet it was accompanied by a thrill I hadn't experienced in years. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over our backyard, I found myself alone with Jake. My husband was away on a business trip, and my children were tucked away in bed. The air was thick with tension, electric and palpable. "Can I help you with anything?" Jake asked, his voice low and inviting. I turned to face him, my heart pounding. "No, I'm just enjoying the evening," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. He stepped closer, and I could feel the heat radiating from his body. My mind raced with the implications of what was happening, yet I couldn't bring myself to step back. "It's beautiful out here," he said, glancing around, but I could see the way his eyes lingered on me. Suddenly, I felt vulnerable, exposed in a way I hadn't in years. I should have felt guilty, should have pushed him away, but instead, I found myself leaning in, drawn to the magnetic pull between us. "Yeah, it really is," I murmured, my breath hitching as our eyes locked. In that moment, I knew I was teetering on the edge of something monumental. I wanted to pull away, to save my marriage and my family from the impending storm, yet a part of me yearned to dive headfirst into this forbidden desire. As our faces drew closer, I felt the heat of his body enveloping me, and the world around us faded. My heart raced with anticipation, and I couldn't help but wonder, what would it be like to cross that line? If you're captivated by this tale of passion and betrayal, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories that delve into the intricacies of love and desire. The days that followed were a blur of stolen glances and electric touches. Each moment spent with Jake was a dangerous gamble, yet I couldn't resist the allure of his presence. We spent countless afternoons together, sharing secrets and laughter, and with each passing day, my resolve weakened. Jake had a way of making me feel alive, of reigniting a fire within me that had long been extinguished. I found myself laughing more, smiling more, my spirit uplifted by his youthful energy. But with every shared moment, the weight of my choices pressed heavily on my conscience. One afternoon, as we lounged by the pool, I watched him splashing in the water, his muscles glistening under the sun. I felt a rush of heat wash over me and an undeniable urge to join him. "Come on in," he called, his voice playful and inviting. I hesitated, my heart racing. "I don't know. I didn't bring a swimsuit," I replied, trying to maintain some semblance of decorum. "Who cares? It's just us," he laughed, and the sound sent shivers down my spine. With a deep breath, I made a decision. I slipped off my cover-up and stepped into the water, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The coolness enveloped me, but it was nothing compared to the warmth of his gaze. As we splashed and played, I felt the tension building between us, a palpable energy that was both thrilling and terrifying. I could see the desire in his eyes, and it mirrored my own. Finally, as we caught our breath, he swam closer, our faces inches apart. "You're incredible," he whispered, the sincerity in his voice sending my heart racing. In that moment, I felt everything I had been suppressing bubble to the surface. I leaned in, unable to resist the magnetic pull any longer. Our lips met in a soft kiss that quickly ignited into something more passionate. I gasped, pulling away, my heart pounding in my chest. "What are we doing?" I breathed, the weight of reality crashing down on me. "I don't know, but it feels right," he replied, his eyes filled with a mix of desire and uncertainty. The thrill of the kiss lingered, but so did the fear of what it meant. I was crossing a line that could never be uncrossed, and yet the exhilaration was intoxicating. As the days turned into weeks, our secret meetings became more frequent, each encounter leaving me breathless and craving more. We explored every inch of our desires, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was playing with fire. One evening, as the sun set and darkness enveloped the world, I found myself alone with Jake in my living room. My heart raced as I recalled the thrill of our kisses and the electric chemistry we shared. "I can't stop thinking about you," he confessed, stepping closer, his gaze intense. "I shouldn't be doing this," I whispered, torn between my desires and my conscience. "Then don't think," he urged, before capturing my lips once more. In that moment, I let go of my inhibitions, surrendering to the passion that consumed us. As our bodies tangled together, I felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. I was risking everything for a taste of something forbidden. Our affair deepened, each encounter filled with stolen moments that left me feeling breathless. We met in secret, our rendezvous filled with passion that was both exhilarating and terrifying. But as the weeks turned into months, the weight of my choices became increasingly unbearable. I began to notice the subtle changes in my marriage. My husband's suspicions grew, and I could see the flicker of doubt in his eyes. He was no fool. He sensed that something was amiss. It was a bitter reminder of the life I was jeopardizing for fleeting moments of passion. One evening, as I prepared dinner, my husband walked in with a furrowed brow. "You've been distant lately. Is everything okay?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. I forced a smile, my heart racing. "Of course. Just busy with the kids and work," I replied, trying to sound convincing. But the truth weighed heavily on my soul. I couldn't shake the guilt that gnawed at me, especially when I thought about Jake and the connection we shared. That night, I found myself tossing and turning, replaying every moment I had spent with him. It was intoxicating yet terrifying, a whirlwind of emotions that left me feeling lost. Then came the night that changed everything. I had planned to meet Jake for a late-night rendezvous, my heart racing with anticipation. As I slipped out of the house, I felt a thrill of excitement mixed with dread. But as I approached our meeting spot, I was met with an unexpected sight. My best friend, Sarah, stood there, her face filled with shock. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, her voice sharp. I froze, my heart sinking. I was just. "Don't lie to me." "I know something is going on," she said, her eyes narrowing. In that moment, everything crashed down around me. I felt exposed, my secrets laid bare before the one person I had trusted the most. "I can't believe you would do this to me," she continued, her voice trembling with anger and betrayal. "I'm so sorry, Sarah. I didn't mean for this to happen," I pleaded, desperate to explain, but knowing there were no words that could fix the damage. She shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "You're breaking my heart. How could you betray me like this?" The weight of her words crushed me. I had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed, and now I was facing the consequences of my actions. As we stood there, the reality of my choices settled in. I was risking everything, my marriage, my friendship, my integrity, all for a fleeting moment of desire. The confrontation with Sarah left me reeling. I felt as if the ground had shifted beneath my feet, and I was left standing on unstable ground. My heart raced with fear as I realized the gravity of my actions. In the days that followed, I distanced myself from Jake, my mind consumed with guilt and shame. I couldn't bear the thought of facing Sarah, knowing I had betrayed her trust in the most profound way. But as I tried to navigate my tumultuous emotions, Jake continued to reach out, his messages filled with concern and longing. I felt torn between the man I had grown to care for and the life I had built with my family. One night, after a particularly tense day, I found myself standing in front of the mirror, tears streaming down my face. I felt lost, trapped between two worlds, both of which seemed to be crumbling around me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a message from Jake. "I miss you. Can we talk?" I hesitated, my heart racing. Part of me wanted to run to him, to seek solace in his embrace, but another part of me screamed to walk away. Finally, I made a decision. I needed to confront my feelings once and for all. I agreed to meet him, my heart pounding with anticipation and dread. As I arrived at our usual spot, I felt a whirlwind of emotions crash over me. Jake stood there, his face lighting up as he saw me. But the moment I stepped closer, I saw the worry etched in his features. "I've missed you," he said, his voice low and filled with longing. "I've missed you too," I admitted, but the guilt weighed heavily on my heart. We talked for hours, our conversation flowing easily, yet the undercurrent of tension was palpable. I wanted to be honest with him about everything, but fear held me back. Finally, I took a deep breath. "Jake, I can't keep doing this. I'm risking everything, and I'm terrified of what it means," I confessed, my voice shaking. He reached for my hand, his touch igniting a spark. "I understand, but I can't help how I feel about you." "You mean so much to me," he replied, his eyes searching mine. The truth hung in the air between us, a heavy reminder of the choices we had made. I could feel my heart breaking, torn between my love for him and my commitment to my family. In that moment, I realized I had to make a choice. I could continue down this path of desire, knowing it would lead to destruction, or I could walk away and try to salvage what remained of my life. As I watched the sun set, casting a golden glow around us, I knew my decision would change everything. I had to confront the consequences of my actions, to face the reality of my choices. But as I looked into Jake's eyes, I couldn't help but wonder if I was ready to let go of the passion that had consumed me. If you found yourself drawn into this tale of love and betrayal, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that explore the complexities of the human heart.